one watching, and that's me. We're going to see how this actually does. Took a long hiatus because no one seems to watch, so. But we'll see what happens today. Go ahead and wait for some people to log on.
His name is Enrique Montoya, and every time I think of that name, I think of Princess Bride.
Cool.
Oh, you enjoy that one?
I enjoyed it very much, love.
I thought it was special watching Princess Bride with you. No.
Watching Princess Bride is always special, whether it's with me or anyone else.
He almost died.
He did almost die, or at least it says right there that he almost died. Hey, we have a new person. Hello, person number 1. Hello. Person number 1.
It's not me. I promise.
I believe you. It's Eric. Hello, Eric. How art thou?
Do you want our jerseys?
Yeah, love. Aw, why are you sick as a dog? My dog is quite healthy, so that could be a good thing. Hey, dog, will you bring me a Pepsi, please?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Will you bring me a Pepsi, please? And my dog is quite healthy right now, so take that how you will. Thanks, love. Thanks, love. We're gonna have to get some bleach or something.
I told you that.
It came out mostly, but yeah, you can definitely see where there's dirt on the lettering. Clorox pen. Ooh, a second person. Hello, second person. Who are you? Say hello. It's Clark. Which bleach? A bleaching pen. One of those things you can like scrape on because on the New Jersey some of the lettering got dirty, so we want to bleach it. Why not which?
No.
Which what? What? I'm confused. understand why not which. You don't make no sense, child. Can you explain yourself? Okay, I will forget it then. Oh, we're up to 3 viewers now. Hello, newest viewer. Say hello, new person, whoever you might be. No, that person left. We're back down to 2. Are we going to any of the Zombie of the Corn thing? We're definitely not working Zombies of the Corn. I had enough of that last year.
You got itchy.
I did get very itchy. Might we go and participate? It is possible. I think as an employee I can ride it once for free. A-Dog can't. And I've never been one for what's the word I'm looking for? Haunted houses. I don't find them scary. I find them a waste of money. So for free, why not? But would I pay to go? No, I wouldn't. Nothing against Three Rivers or any other places that do it. I just don't find them scary. So there's no reason for me to go and waste my money. And then as far as the shooting zombies part, I would rather shoot at someone who can shoot back at me than just someone in a suit. Again, nothing against anyone that decides to go do that. It can be fun, but I would rather actually play paintball. So the answer is probably no. Probably no. Oh, if we're going to see... Well, I'm sure we'll see you at some point, regardless. Or as I said to Eric, I will mail it to you if you want. That just seems like a waste. I don't know why you'd want that. But that doesn't mean that we won't go play paintball a day that they're having it, and thereby we could just see you before, when we're done playing, before you've started, we can give it to you then. At the very worst, guys, you'll get it at Nazi Zombies, because that's when we all need them for anyway. That's the next scenario that I know of. Which is, what, November 10th? November 11th? One of those two. 10th or 11th. Whatever the Saturday is. But, because I plan on
No,
only...
it is the 10th. You are correct. I'm sorry.
It is the 10th. I only plan on wearing the jersey at actual events, whether it be scenarios or tournaments or anything like that. Other than that, I plan on just wearing my t-shirt, because why ruin it playing regular play. When are we going to open again? I don't know. This weekend I am going to Texas. She's busy working, and then the next day we have a dog trainer coming. And then the weekend after that, I am either the weekend after that, which is Memorial Day weekend, or the weekend after that.
There's
No, what? Labor Day?
Labor Day was September 3rd.
Memorial Day? Oh,
October
what's
8th
the
is
next
Columbus
one?
Day.
Columbus Day, that's the one. Okay.
That's October 8th.
What's not this weekend, next weekend? What's the weekend after this one? Isn't there a holiday that?
No.
Yes, there is. Don't lie to me about it.
So next weekend.
Why do you have to lie to me?
2 weekends from now is Columbus Day.
Okay, so that's the one I'm thinking of, Columbus Day. Alrighty, so next weekend, the 29th and 30th, I have made myself available to ref. Whether or not I will, I don't know. If I'm not refing one of those days, I'll probably go play. The weekend after that, the 6th and 7th of October, I have marked available for myself to work on the house. And if we don't do it the weekend before, we'll do it that weekend. So if not, then I'll go play that weekend. So somewhere in the next, not this weekend, but the next 2 weekends after that, I will go play. If that helps you at all. Which I hope it do. I hope it do. I need to save this. Okay, good. It's saved. So I wanted to talk today about a little bit about Atlas Rising, which is the last scenario we went to. Convince Coco to go to open play when you do, so because he still has your gun. Why don't you convince Coco to go?
He doesn't have your gun.
He doesn't have mine. He has Eric's gun.
Why don't you just message Coco?
Why don't you convince him to go instead of me? Why do I have to? Coco don't even like me.
He hugged you on Sunday.
True. You could have just, made it yourself. And I know you don't know how, and that's fine. Except you gotta, you should learn. You don't learn if you don't do. Again, why not you? Why don't you convince Coco to go? Why does A-Dog or I or anyone else have to convince him? Why can't you?
I don't think Coco likes me anymore.
Coco doesn't like her anymore either, she says.
He's got a girlfriend now. He can't talk to me.
That's right. A-Dog is better than you in general, yes, I agree. But in this particular case, what are you saying she's better at?
I'm better at what than you?
That's what I just asked. I just asked that. Pay attention.
No, but I mean in general. I don't even understand what that means.
You're better than him at everything in general.
Than Eric? Than you?
Than Eric.
I don't think I can make myself a shield.
Oh, that you could.
I mean, that's a pretty good shield. I'm very impressed by that.
It's heavy though. It is very heavy.
Well, that's all a matter of materials used.
Yeah, except that I told him that to begin with, and he just said, "No, it won't." And then as soon as he used it, he says, "This is heavy." That's exactly what you sound like, Eric. No, it won't. This is heavy. Okay, so anyway, so I wanted to talk about a little bit about Atlas Rising, which is the last scenario that A-Dog and I went to last weekend, which was fun. It was a good time. And then I want to talk about just scenarios in general and how do we keep them interesting? How do we make this scenario different than the last one? So, because I noticed a few things at Atlas Rising that made me think about it. One thing that they did specifically there was coin collecting. So you found these little plastic coins they had hidden, which he came out and said he stole that from Reaper Siege, the one we did before that. Now I like it. I like collecting coins. It's an easy way to get points. It also keeps you engaged, something everyone can do, regardless of you're a front player, back player, whoever. Slow, fast, doesn't matter. You can do that. But it is obviously repetitive. They took it straight from there. So, how do you keep things new? How do you change things up? Because that's something I've thought and talked about with other scenarios, such as D-Day that we do at Three Rivers every year. It's the same. every year it's exactly the same. There's a few minor tweaks here and there, and it definitely varies according to how people play. If they push over here versus pushing over there, and then next year they push in the middle, whatever, that changes every year. But the dynamics of the game, the rules of the game, are always the same. So, and I think, as we've talked about in the past on here, they're losing people to D-Day. And I think the reason for that is because it's always the same. It never changes. So, you know, how do we, and by we I mean paintballers, the paintball community, keep things new, basically. Um, but first, let's talk about Atlas Rising. So, it was at a field that we'd never been to before, Slaughterhouse Paintball. It's owned by Xavier Nolan. Is that his last name? Nolan? Who's on SAS.
Guess why it's called Slaughterhouse?
Oh yeah, we found out also that it's called Slaughterhouse because it's a slaughterhouse. They literally slaughter cows there. There was a cow. They were like, "It's his last day to live," and it took me a moment, and I was like, "Oh, wait a minute. That means they're gonna kill it tomorrow because it was food." It just like took me a second to register that in my brain.
Loki enjoyed that cow. Didn't you, Loki? Didn't you make cowy friends?
Loki very much enjoyed that cow. As you guys can see in the bottom corner there, those are pictures from Atlas Rising. There's a couple of pictures there of Loki and another puppy. It was Xavier's puppy. Very, very adorable dog. Very well behaved compared to Loki, who barked the whole time. But it was good. There was only, I think it was, 8 people on 8 people? 8 on 8?
It was definitely less than 10.
It was definitely less than 10 on 10. I think it was about 8 on 8, maybe 9 on 9. Which is okay because it is a smaller field. And I actually there's a different feel to a mini scenario is what he called it, than there is to a full big scenario.
It was very well planned out, and he had a lot of good ideas, and start small, and
yeah, and so no complaints about that. In some ways, I kind of liked that it was smaller. In other ways, I'd prefer more. I mean, if there's more people to shoot at, and bigger dynamics. But with it smaller, it just seems more cozy, like friendly. It's not just a bunch of people that you don't know. Less likely to get into fights. I've seen that, unfortunately, on the paintball field. Less likely to get cheaters. There's less people, so everyone's held more accountable for what they're doing. Also, the group of people that we had there, I felt wouldn't be those type of people anyway. Now, sometimes things happen. That's absolutely true, but it seemed like they wouldn't be those type of people that would either fight with somebody or cheat or anything like that.
You could tell that they all knew each other and how small the field was. Like, there was a lot of screaming back and forth between the people who knew each other.
Yeah,
where they
on
were
opposite teams and stuff too.
But
which was actually cool because they'd be like, they'd yell, "Hey, if they got hit, hey, great shot, George or whoever it was," or like Dana was there, and they yelled to Dana all the time. They'd be like, nice move, Dana, or whatever, and so you could tell people knew each other, and that's a nice dynamic between a small group like that. And we went because we were specifically asked to be there, so it's nice to be recognized that way. So even though we weren't part of it was mostly SAS that were there. We're not part of that by any means. They're a different style of players, but they invited us and they were happy that we were there, and I felt welcome, so it was nice.
Yeah, I think with it being a new field for us, the small scenario helped us get used to the field instead of being shot at by 35 people. It was
2.
It was like 8. But it got me more comfortable with the field and not being so afraid to move and do things.
Indeed. Yeah, the field was 2.5 acres long. Obviously, not as wide as that. Now, the big downfall that Slaughterhouse does have is these huge ravines, multiple, that run through it.
Although that ravine helped me get those puzzle pieces because
Because you can sneak into. Oh
I
no, there's
slid
definitely
in and
yeah.
I came back out.
You
And
can
then I
definitely
ran
use
like
it
a
because
crap.
I used it too. I mean, I did the same thing. I snuck into it, and you could use it for cover. The problem is that they they're very steep in most places. Some places you can get down and up if you're careful, but a lot of it is so deep and steep, and it keeps getting deeper and steeper as it goes.
That ravine helped because that we were on a hill when I was running for that basket, but I was behind you with sniper players, and I saw the flag, and I was like, okay, I'll go get it, and I moved around, and I realized that there was no way that I was getting it because I would have to like fly
Yeah.
to the other side.
I can do it.
I can do it.
Yeah, you weren't getting there.
No, I wasn't.
Hey, Loke. Hi, baby boy. Yeah, but and I never got to do it. I was always distracted doing other things. It would be very good for someone who doesn't mind getting wet to sneak and just end up behind the other team. You probably wouldn't even notice it if they did it right. And I thought about afterward. He's got some socks.
Like Paul would probably have the time
Paul
of
would
his
have a
life.
time of his life. I thought about afterward. There was one mission where they drove on a four-wheeler, an ATV of some kind, and the rebels, the other team, had to pull supplies off the back of it. And then if we shot them, they had to drop it where it was, and we could grab some. There were 8 total. We ended up getting 4. They got 4. But once you got it back to your base, you could steal it from the other team. And it would have. I thought about afterward. It would have been smart of me to sneak down into the ravine, all the way around, come up the other side, get up the hill if possible, and steal it from them. I don't know if they would have even noticed I was there. It would have taken a long time to do, but I had plenty of time because the way it worked, the mission was the vehicle was supposed to drive through very slowly, and every time they hit it with a football, if they threw a football at it, it stopped for 2 minutes. They could grab 2 off at a time.
I thought it was a smoke grenade.
No, it was the footballs. Smoke grenades were a different mission.
I thought you would have thrown a smoke grenade into that black basket.
No.
That was just a football?
Football. That was done in 7 minutes. In 7 minutes, they were all off and the vehicle was gone. So, and the mission was 40 minutes long, which means that there was 33 minutes of no vehicle where I could have snuck around and stole them. And maybe someone else tried because I was on the other side of the map. I don't know. Maybe someone did try that. But afterward, I thought I should have done that. So taking a pause here, Eric, you said that you talked to Phil about making those RC paintball tanks for the field, and he seemed interested. You mean Phil at Three Rivers, I assume? Is that correct? Well, then nothing's ever going to happen. I'm sorry to say, I love Three Rivers. Phil and Ryan and they're all very nice people, but it's never going to happen. They like ideas. They're very open to ideas. They always, yeah, that's a good idea. We should think about that. Let's talk about it. It just never happens. So, yeah, that's not going to happen there. You could try elsewhere. You could do it yourself, but it's not going to happen there. They are not open to ideas. I mean, what they do works for them.
I think
so.
they're open ideas.
Oh yeah, so that's I said it wrong. They're open to ideas.
They just won't ever implement.
They just they just won't do it. Well, we're down to just you, Eric. We're down to just you.
At least we have one person. We could have nobody and just be talking to ourselves.
That's true. I wanted to see how it would go today.
Did you really expect a lot of people though?
We had 5 on here, and for about 2 minutes, and then they went away. I don't know who those
I
five
mean,
were?
did you tell people that you were gonna be live today?
No. I did share it on Facebook though. Just no one cares. Only reached 4 people. Dalton liked it. He just isn't watching. That makes me sad.
Where's Alex?
Where indeed? He could be at school. I think, according to last week, he should be done and home by now, though.
He's got He's got a lady friend.
A lady friend?
A lady friend.
Well, at Atlas Rising, we got our jerseys that morning, and we were able to use them that day. So, this is mine.
Loki's upset he did not get
Finally
one.
have my captaincy.
Loki, do you want a jersey? Do you want a jersey?
And then the name is on the arms there.
And below.
And, yeah, on the sides. Underneath the arms, it says it again. And then A-Dogs is... So mine's like a maroon. A-Dogs is like a midnight blue.
It's not as dark as I wanted. So you didn't show so it's on the side. You didn't show that.
I did show that.
Oh, you did. I didn't.
And then her back. So I like them. I think they're neat. And make us a little bit more official. Yeah, professional. Can you go grab Eric's? I'll show it. It's still in its package. I won't take it out of the package, but I'll show it to you in the plastic. I want to let...
It will match his D5 mask.
A-Dog says it will match your douchey personality, I think is what she said. Which I think is kind of rude. I don't know why she would say that to you. Hey! That's not for you! Dog, you are... redonkulous.
You already took that sandwich wrapper. Wasn't he gold? He got gold, right?
I don't know. Did you get... What color did you get?
I thought he got gold to match the new i5 that he bought off of you.
It's possible. Did you? Is that the case? Yeah, because I think Colin was purple.
Colin was purple. Clark was red.
Bronze gold, yeah, okay. So then this is it. We'll see how that looks for you. That's pretty much all of the color that you can see through the packaging. A little bit on the side here.
It's blue because of that glare,
but yeah, I don't want. I mean, I could open the plastic for you, but I'd rather just let you do that. Why steal the glory from you?
Why steal? I see.
I don't see why.
Okay, I was just curious.
Okay.
You seem to not mention it at all.
Hey, that is not for you.
But it matches me, Daddy. I'll look so pretty in it.
And that makes sense. It makes sense. And once you start to match, you're gonna want everything to match. That's why I'm changing all my stuff to like a dark red, because it all matches that way. But anyway, yeah. So back to what I was talking about as far as keeping scenarios fresh. They did the coin thing, which, like I said, I liked the coins. I think it's a good mission, or a good side mission, kind of extra thing that you can do throughout the day. But it was a straight up yoink from Reaper Siege. And I'm not sure that I like that. But at the other hand, how are you going to avoid that? they all borrow from each other. That just happens. There's no way not to borrow from each other.
What I liked, but I didn't like where he put it, was the sniper shootout. I liked I liked that. I thought, for players like Paul, it kind of gives them a chance to actually use and show off their skill a little bit.
Yep, that was something new.
I did not like that it was mission 3.
It probably should have been last.
Because the way he described it in the beginning, he was like, there's 6 missions plus this sniper challenge. But when I was looking at his paperwork, there were 6 missions including the sniper challenge.
Yep.
And I understand why he put it at 3. He probably wanted to break it up a little bit, to give people a break.
It should have just been last, but whatever.
No, I'm not.
You are.
I'm not saying that it was bad. I'm saying that I personally.
Yeah, the positioning. I'm with you. So what she's talking about. How about to form a scavenger hunt on the field or a person on the enemy team is carrying intel? Both of those things have been done. Not that they're bad ideas; they're good. They're a lot of time they can be very fun, but they've already been done. Scavenger hunt. That was another thing that was done just at Atlas Rising. It wasn't necessarily a scavenger hunt.
It wasn't a specific
There wasn't like
mission.
There wasn't like a list of
things we had to collect.
Yeah, like check off list or anything like that, like a scavenger hunt would be. There were certain items throughout. You didn't necessarily know what they were, and if it had your team name on it, you grabbed it and took it back. You got points for it. So I've seen similar things to like that before. I mean, even the coins are like a scavenger hunt because you scavenge them, you hunt for them.
I liked the combination lock he did. I thought that was new and interesting.
Yeah, there were items that had numbers taped to them throughout the field. You'd find the item with the number on it. Remember what the number was, because you couldn't take the item. You'd remember what the number was. Take it back to your general, who had a lock.
Like a lock, like what you would have on lockers at school.
Yeah, and once she got all the numbers, she did it in and got it open and got points for it. So, and then enemy team is carrying intel. That I have. Mission masters have done things like that before. I don't know if it was necessarily a person that was carrying intel, but they've done like intel things where you find it and it tells you stuff. I think like that on the field. So that's definitely happened. But again, both good ideas.
And also with the combination lock. I don't know if I liked this. I understood the purpose of it though is he gave clues to the item we were supposed to find. So like after the end of a mission, he gave us a clue of what we either should be looking on the field for that combination number, or this was the order that it was supposed to be in.
Yes.
Okay.
Did you have more to that?
No. I just thought that was interesting that he gave us clues to try to help us find the item that was hidden for us to get the number.
Mm-hmm.
But I liked that idea. I thought that was very interesting. And you know how I feel about puzzles.
You do like puzzles.
I love me some puzzles. I thought that puzzle was a little simple.
Well, I thought it was interesting. Again, it was different, so it worked. Because we're talking about not keeping these the same. That you grabbed the puzzle pieces and took them off the field and then your general completed it. It would be much more challenging to complete the puzzle on the field, just like, with Mission Masters does it that way. Now, that being said, if you do that, that's just stealing from, them.
I think I think he really liked the coins, and so he purposely was like, I'm plagiarizing this because I just really like that idea. And then, there's only really 2 ways you can do a scenario is either have missions or, each 40-minute segment is something different, or, you separate your challenges. or you go all day. Like, is there a different way that you can have a scenario besides go all day and have specific timed objectives?
No, those are the two ways, but you can break up in between. So instead of doing mission masters or D Day, you could do missions within D Day. You know,
Yes.
so picture Mayon. So there's 7 different missions, each based off of a part of the D Day landings, and then you have D Day, which is just a straight thing throughout, and you capture various parts of the field. Well, what you could do is, while capturing certain parts of the field for points, also, and I know D-Day has side missions too, but
there's side missions that we implement instead
right, if
of
they're
actually having a mission that you have to complete.
yeah, you go and say this is the mission at this time. Both have to try. It is sectioned here, so both teams end up having to push guys there, and so it's kind of both in one. So you're not wrong. Like, that's pretty much either you play all day or you have segments. That's all. But you can kind of blend it from there.
You can.
Hello, new person. Hello, whoever you are.
I like the segments. I'm not a big play all day person, because if you leave the field and you come back, it could be a shit fest. I like having that organization. I also enjoy having an objective. This is what you need to do to win this mission. These are the 3 things you have to accomplish. Now, when we did Mayon and they gave us the intel, I liked it when after the first respawn, they gave you the intel. I thought that made it a little bit more challenging, and then instead of just being given all 3 at the same time, I thought that the missions we did at Slaughterhouse were too long. They did not need 40 minutes.
That's true. They were too long, especially mission 2, which was the vehicle.
I thought mission 1 was way too long and it needed to be 40
Well,
minutes.
mission 1 was not. It was. I didn't feel that it was too long. I felt that it was backwards. So what happened with mission 1 was Atlas. That was our team. Were defending a line, so we couldn't pass. It was almost the 50. It was like the 47-yard line. We weren't allowed to pass that, but the attackers, the rebels, they could go anywhere on the field they wanted, and they had to. There was one flag that was active, but they also had to do. They had 2 side missions that they had to do. Do you remember what they were?
No, I just know that I thought they had to get the center flag and then they had to do something else.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, there were 2 other things. Anyway, there was a center flag that was active, and there were 2 things that they had to accomplish that were, I believe, on our side of the line. Well, that's all fine. The problem, the thing that I thought was reversed was we as defenders had unlimited lives. They had a respawn every 10 minutes, which I felt was very backwards. I feel that as a defender, you should have a respawn every 10 minutes, and the attackers should have unlimited. And I felt that way to begin with. I don't know if you remember, I said that. I was like, this feels backwards to me. And then we ended up beating them terribly. That mission 1, I think they got 2 points, and we got 300 and change. They got 2 points. It was ridiculous.
And that was because they probably got 2 coins.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. They got 2 coins. It was a point each.
Because it was there was not a lot of people on each team, which I liked. I think based on your grouping, you could rework. Like, if that mission was 20 minutes, I think it would have been perfect. It did not need to be 40.
Yeah,
again,
I mean, I think it was. I think they were all a little long, but I could see that one being longer. I don't think any of them needed to be 40 minutes. But I didn't feel that one was obnoxiously long, like I did with number 2.
See, where I was, I didn't realize that the the van died, and then I saw you carrying crates, and I was like, okay.
If anyone from Slaughterhouse watches this, BT does. The Gopher mission or Gopher Award was given to who was that given to?
Billy.
Was it given to Billy?
Yeah.
Okay, so I like Billy. He friended me, and I was like, "Who's this?" And then I realized who it was. Great, he's a nice guy. I really like him. So I don't mean to take anything away from you, Billy. But they gave him the Gopher Award because he ran with the crates off of the truck. Yeah, that was me. Just throwing that out there. All four of them.
Bitch.
All four of them were me, and then Ryan took one. So I had 3, and a basket, and then a basket later, all in that same missions, and then about 30 coins. So
Billy was the only speedball player there.
he was the only speedball player there. That's true. So I really like you, Billy. No, I'm not trying to take anything away from you. You deserve some sort of award. But, and I'm not even saying you don't deserve the Gopher Award. What I'm saying is that the reason they gave it to you was actually something I did. Just saying. Anyway, back to where I was saying.
Taking all of the glory. Such a glory whore.
It's true, though. Sorry.
Yes, the reason he got that award, not that he shouldn't have got that award, the reason they gave was because
Of something I did.
of something you did.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm not saying he didn't deserve that award in general.
They should have given it to him and just not given it.
Well, yeah, what I'm saying is that they said, we're giving you this because of this. But he's not the one who did that, I am.
So speaking of the generals giving awards, this was the first scenario I've ever been to where the generals did not come out on the field once. I don't know about the rebels general and if she ever had a paintball gun in her hand.
Not that day.
No, that's not what I mean. I mean if she's ever played.
She's played before, yeah.
Okay. So both of them have played. Both of them are women. I applaud them wholeheartedly. Wonderful. This was the weirdest generalship ever. Because they didn't come out on the field and they were screaming from the sidelines, and I was like, I got very confused about who was screaming. Because first I thought it was Dana. And she knocked a lot of people out with her airstrikes, our general. Now, I didn't talk to the other general, so I don't have anything. I'm not going to say anything about her because I don't have an opinion about her. But our general, I thought, was pretty awesome just as a person.
But yeah, it was weird that
It was just very weird that
they never went on the field at all, which is weird.
now,
What, me playing with the dog? Is that what you're talking about, Eric? Ow!
who's our other person?
I don't know. They haven't introduced themselves. What was I saying before you interrupted me?
I did not interrupt you. You were talking about the Gopher Award and being a glory whore.
Right. So with mission 2, it was definitely too long, and I told Xavier that. I said during the game I told him it was too long, because I was right next to the road, hiding in a little open spot where I found like 15 coins, all were sitting right there. It was awesome. And he was on the road right next to me, and he passed at one point, and I said, come here. And I told him, I said, next time that if you do this type of mission again for a scenario, whenever the crates are taken off, you should start, and they're put back on the pallets at the starting point, you should start a timer of 5 or 10 or whatever minutes, because the vehicle was done in 7 minutes, legitimately 7 minutes, which means that there was over a half hour of us just like waiting around. Technically, we could have stole them from them, or they could have stole them from us, but that just likely was not going to happen, and it didn't happen. So it was just 30 minutes of nothing happening, and it was weird. And so that one was definitely too long.
It was more just like you were playing, like open play.
But there was no point to it at that,
But you got that
I did find the crate with a number in it, so I mean something came out of it, but my point still stands.
Okay. I thought all of them were too long.
And it's proven by the fact that there were two missions we actually never did because we ran out of time. So there's that. And then we had lunch, and then I think lunch probably ran a little long, and then we did the third mission, which was the target range. Two from our team, two from their team. We did win that by a little bit, not by much. An interesting side note: after the game was over and everything, I had Xavier go out there again, and I took the shots the same way they did, and he scored me. And again, this was not part of the game. I didn't get points for anything. I just wanted to see where I would stand. I did better than the other two on my team put together. Just saying.
You're such a glory whore.
And one of them, I believe, was using first strikes.
I can't breathe with the size of your ego in this room.
I can't help the truth, love. If you don't believe me, ask him.
I know. I was there. I heard the story. I was there for the story. I got you.
So then what's the problem?
But you sound like a cocky asshat. I'm going to call you out on it.
What would you prefer me to say? How else should I tell this truth?
It's more just the way that you said it.
How else should I tell this truth?
You can just say, this is what I scored, and this is what they scored.
I don't know exactly what I scored. I believe it was...
or have someone else tell the story.
Eric, then type it out and let me read it to the audience of you and apparently one other person who won't talk to us.
Maybe he's nervous. Don't diss our other member.
So I believe it was 30...
Did you just
yes,
Dr.
shut up.
Me?
I believe it was 35 points for a headshot, which I got one of, and he said that it hit him square right here, the target, and like blew a big hole in it, which I actually saw. It was pretty cool because it made this loud thunk, and then it was 20 points for any board hit, and I think 25 points if you hit the body of the target. And you took 4 shots at the closer one and 4 shots at the farther one. And if you hit, there was a right and a left. Our team had to aim at the right. If we hit the left, then the other team got those points. So he said that I hit head 1, body 1, and I think it was board twice. And then on the other one, I hit body 1 and board 1, and on one of the boards I hit theirs as well, body hit, so they got 25 for that, but I got a whole bunch of points. Oh, it's okay, so yeah, see, he says right there, he doesn't have my points exactly, but you blew a hole in the target's forehead. Yes, so see, evidence right there. I'm not being a cocky asshat. It actually happened.
I wasn't talking about you blowing a hole.
Okay, and am I correct in saying that my points were more than my 2 teammate points put together? Is that you told me? I believe you told me that. Am I correct in saying that? And I know you're packing, so feel free to take your time. Eric, did you haven't typed out your thought yet? I'm waiting to read it here, and you haven't typed it out.
See, he wanted to talk to us. He was busy. Some people turn this on and just listen to it like a podcast.
Oh, yeah, because I'm so interesting to just listen to.
You have a good voice. Nobody wants to hear my voice. I'm just here because of my ass. So really.
You got good legs, too. And your boobies.
There.
Okay, here we go. Okay, so if he remembers correctly, I had several hundred more than the total that both of my teammates made. Several hundred more based on the target range? I didn't think it was worth that much, but either way, obviously, yes. I should have done it, but I didn't. I actually wasn't very confident in myself to do it. I was like, if I get up there, if I volunteer to do it and then I suck, I ruined it for my team. So, but I was interested to see how I would do. If no one else, like if there wasn't anyone else to do it, I would have done it, but I didn't want to volunteer for it. Okay, so Eric says, just like the combo lock, you need to go around the map and collect numbers to unlock a padlock. Inside the box, the padlock is on a phone. You text a number hidden somewhere on the general's map. That number will then text you an anagram that will give you the location of a hidden objective. This is very intricate and I like it. So basically, what you're saying is there are numbers hidden throughout the field, just like they had a slaughterhouse. Um, Once you collect them all, you can open the padlock with it. Inside the padlock is a phone. And then you have to collect a number. It's hidden somewhere in the general's map. So also hidden on the field, but marked on the map the general has, is a phone number that they have to find. They text with that hidden with that phone that they've unlocked, something, code or whatever, and then they in turn send back an anagram that will give you the location of a hidden objective. So this is like 5 different hidden objectives in one. That's very intricate, and I actually like that as like an all-day mission. Um, that's something that you would just.
But you could also do that with it being.
You could do it in segments.
Missions.
Yeah, you could do it in segments too. Or
it's just the one big
or
mission
you could do.
you have to deal with it by the end of the day.
Yeah, or by the end of the day. So you just say, you tell them at the beginning, this is what it is. There's a phone you have to get to, or you don't even have to tell them that. You just say there are numbers hidden on the field. It opens this box. Then they open the box. They open, and along with the phone is instructions. Or not even just press send. The instructions could be simply just press send, and then there's already a text that says found it or whatever. They press send. It goes to the head ref's phone, and then the head ref sends the anagram along with instructions. Unscramble this to find a box or whatever, and then that leads to another one. So. Well, I thank you for that. Like I said earlier, I wasn't trying to say he didn't deserve an award of some kind. Not even that he didn't deserve that award specifically, but just the reason they gave, was wrong.
What did he say?
He said that he loves the feedback. He needs to grab his pen and paper. Completely agree with what we've said, or a lot of what we said. But he'll make sure to yell at Sarah and Ryan for the award. He didn't think Billy grabbed those.
That wasn't Sarah and Ryan who gave the award. That Gopher award.
Yeah, it was.
Oh really? I thought it was.
Yeah, because it was our general Sarah who gave it to our teammate Billy for something that he did for our team. Why would that have been
that? Yeah, that makes sense. I'm sorry.
You're nuts.
Yes, I am. But I'm cute, so I can.
You are quite cute, though. That's true. That is true.
I feel Billy should get an award for listening to you and moving, and then the one-shot one.
Yeah. So I don't know if everyone saw. Obviously, some of you have. The short 30-second blip I showed, which, by the way, maybe the only good footage I got out of that day, unfortunately. I call Billy over. I say, here, shoot that, because that's where the guy is that's pinning me down.
It was that White House, wasn't it?
It was the white structure. And he was like, which one? Showed him again. He said, okay. Started pounding it. I ran over, got the flag, put it in, ran back, and then unfortunately got hit. But the point is that we worked as a team. He didn't question me. He wasn't like, why do I need to do that? Or you waste your paint. Or I'm going to do this over here instead. Or just ignore me altogether. He just said, okay, and did it. And that was fantastic. So, Billy, if you watch this at any point, thank you. I took a screenshot to remember that. Well, it doesn't go away. It should stay on here, but that's a good thought, and we'll keep that in mind. I'm sure Xavier will keep that in mind for his as well in the future, but we'll definitely keep it in mind for things that we're planning at P3. So, but yeah, so yeah, how do you keep it fresh? Like, so D-Day every year is exactly the same. And for me, at least.
You forget to fix the book they give you.
Yeah.
Because
it's always the same. He never thinks about it until a week ahead of time. And I saw your note. I'm gonna get right to that after I get the thought out of my head. it's and the shame of it is that it's always the same, and yet the people that go every year still don't know how the game is played. They still don't know the rules. Despite the fact that it's the same every year, they still don't know really how it works, which is weird.
What bothers me is that if they're going every year, they know you're on that beach for 40 minutes.
And yet they waste all their
They
paint.
waste all their paint, they waste all of their energy winning the stupid beach. We lost the beach this year. We won the game still. And I played very, I wouldn't even call it, I wasn't playing scared. Mike mentioned that I didn't do a lot of side missions because I couldn't.
We had no people.
I had no people, or I had no ref because the ref was doing something else on the other side of the field. And I give complete props to Adam. He brought his A game. He was ready to fight and win. But, after lunch, they all go out in the parking lot and they get drunk and they're tired. And so then they're now tired and drunk. And I lose half my team that are quality team. Like, who? Fear.
Mm-hmm.
Fear just left. I think Fear played 5 minutes on the actual field.
Yeah.
After.
And then they didn't even say goodbye. They didn't tell us they were leaving. They were just gone.
And I'm not out there. I'm in my tent. I enjoy being in my tent. So I'm not going to pretend that I know what it's like out there. I did it once. I have no need to do it again because I sat in a hole for an hour. But I do know that you have to hydrate and you have to conserve paint. And if you're on a budget and you're going, hell, if you want to go there just for the beach, let me know that. And I'll be like, listen.
I already have plans for how to conserve paint next year for our team. We're going to be on the Americans, but most likely next year. And I have plans. So if you general it, it's going to be commands. It won't be plans. It'll be commands. If you're not generaling, we're just on the team. I'm going to have strong suggestions for whoever the general is on how to do it.
Okay.
From what I've seen in the past 4 years. Just
they could switch it up again though.
But the point is that it's the same every year.
And it could be different.
And it could be different. They could throw in different side missions. They could change the field. The map of the field is literally the same every year. It never changes. Something as simple as changing how the grid looks would change the dynamic of the game. I know there's certain things you can't change, like the castle is never going to move, right? That's always going to be where it is.
You could change
plain
spawn
tail
points though.
Yeah, the plain tail is always where it is. That's never going to change. But you could, even as simple as switching the spawn points 90 degrees. Instead of the top of the hill and the bottom of the hill, switch it so that both are on the hill.
Germans could be at Zombie, and you could put the Americans at Kilo. Maybe not Kilo, but maybe Lima.
Or yeah, something like that.
But you could definitely
90 degrees.
Switch it.
Hotel and Alpha or whatever. Yeah. The point is that it can change. And that's another thing that Mission Masters definitely has over 68 caliber in that way.
Well, also, what Mission Masters has over 68 caliber is that they actually research everything so that they are historically accurate in any war scenario they do. They take a lot of time investing in props and backstory and
that
this
changes
and that
changes their game every time. So even though they have a similar formula every time, each game feels a little different because they do exactly what you're saying. So they're pretty good about keeping everything fresh. They're good at that.
Instead of the Americans and the Germans doing their side missions and calling them out, have not necessarily the cell phone thing, because if you wanted to do something historically accurate, you could do Morse code or something very similar, but without the technology, and have it during the course of the entire mission or the entire game. Or pick the missions that we have to do, and we have to get to a specific point. So like the castle, if or specifically on the American side, if the Americans take a territory, they get a intel mission that they have to complete. And
Yeah.
if we take back a territory, we get an intel mission.
Yeah. So there's definitely things they can change. Now let's see what was written. Any suggestions on the physical field if we have to host it on the small field again yesterday? I assume that's a typo. Obviously, bridges need to be placed and brush needs to be maintained a little better for sure. Oh yeah, okay, so next year. So instead of yesterday, next year, that makes more sense. Um, so the bridges, I don't make sure you don't put too many bridges in. I would say no more. Honestly, in my opinion, no more than one bridge across each ravine.
There needs to be one bridge from where the far side flag was and where the snipers were. So you know how you could go around where the tires are, where you were, where that log is. So where we were when I ran, when you told me just go run and get the box.
Mm-hmm.
So there's tires like about here, and then there's a back area, and there was a huge ravine, and it was directly across from where the far side flag was. How there were those three flags. That needs a ravine because it looks from like the behind a bunker that I had. It looked like, oh, I can just walk over there. No,
You
you
definitely
can't.
can't. Now, something I would definitely keep in mind as well on the bridge factor um, is people shooting down from the bridges. So if you're gonna put those bridges up, I would also recommend maybe some netting or something on the. So if you have the bridge, let's say that this is the bridge, put netting here, like so on both sides of it. That way people can't shoot straight down. Not only are they not supposed to, but they won't be able to shoot straight down at anyone that happens to be going through the ravine. Because that could be dangerous and you don't want people doing that. Like skirmish, they have the rule where you're not allowed to shoot straight up or down in buildings, which is great, except that I'm sure that there's still people that do. I've seen it. So it's a problem. So maybe, some netting or something, keep in mind. Not that people tend to go down in those ravines, but if anyone ever did, like I was thinking about doing, you don't want to get shot in the top of the head by someone running across the bridge. So that's something to keep in mind. But me personally, I wouldn't put any more than maybe a big bridge, the far side of the field from the entrance, where the biggest part of the ravine is. Maybe one across there, and then maybe where the three prongs are, one on each of the prongs, just like right through the middle, so you could basically run from one end of the field to the other across those bridges. I wouldn't do too much more than that because then first of all it's just a lot of work for you, but also it just seems like you're taking away something that's unique to your field, which is it is hard to work over there. It is hard to get around on that side of the field, and you're becoming more like other fields that are just open if you take too much of that away. The same with the brush. Like I told you the day of, I actually like brush. Now you don't want too much. You don't want too many jaggers and things like that. But I actually like brush, and I know plenty of people who do. They would rather sneak through brush, take their time, get there, take some people out from behind through the brush, than run straight at an enemy through a building or whatever. Now I'll do both. I like both dynamics. So if you took all of the weeds out, or too many of the weeds, I know you don't want to take them all out, but if you took too many out, I would be unhappy with that. I'm sure there are people that would be more happy with that, but I'm sure there's a lot of people that would be very unhappy with that. So I think actually right now there's a pretty good mix between weeds and not weeds. Would you agree with that?
I didn't think that there were. Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think there was too much brush, and I agree with you. Sometimes, for the snipers, for the first strike, they're gonna sit behind a mound, and their brush is gonna be what's helping them. So I think with this first strikes, they rather have brush than a building. I thought there was a good mix of both. It's not just always about a fence or a house. I like that you have tires, you have mounds of dirt.
I would also maybe
Um,
like to see something to aid in getting down into and back out of, especially the ravine, especially the far end. Again, the biggest part of the ravine. But you don't want to make it too easy. Like I don't want you to put stairs in there. Um, Maybe
like
like
a
a
rope
rope. Yeah, like a
ladder.
rope ladder is what I was thinking.
Like the stuff that you climb on in gym class with the knots.
Yeah, whether it be just a rope with knots, or if it's an actual like ladder made of rope. Either one would be fine, but it's something that will help you, but it's also not just a staircase. You know, it still takes effort to do. It still takes some sneakiness to do, but it doesn't make it almost impossible
It's also
to get down there. Because from what I could see, the only way to get down to that end of the ravine was either to fall to your doom, or to go in one of the prongs and work all the way down into that end of the ravine. Now, obviously, it's your field. You may know a way that I don't, but from what I saw, it was either slide down the cliff and possibly sprain an ankle or even break something, or go along all the way down the far prong of the ravine.
also with a rope ladder, however you want to do it, whether it's a single rope with knots or an actual ladder, it's removable, so you could have it there. You
Or
can
take it
have,
away.
or take it away, whatever.
Hell, you could make that a mission in the future.
Yeah, you could make them put the
If they
rope
solve a
ladder.
puzzle, or if they find the rope ladder, or one of the mission be to construct the rope ladder, um, and then all of a sudden they have a way to get around the enemy. So that would be something for you to keep in mind too. But definitely what I mentioned to you as far as the wet part of the
You could.
of the trail there. So when you enter in the left side, the side that we started on first, at the beginning of the day it was really wet, and very hard to navigate. And then by the end of the day, it was a swampy mess. I'm sure you saw it. It was just terrible. You couldn't. My feet got very wet walking through there.
The big problem is that with the respawns, with the unlimited respawns, you were always passing someone and you were trying to get out of the way of the mud and you didn't know which really way to go.
And yeah, like the path was muddy, but then both sides of it were muddy too, so you couldn't even get around it.
Well, you could
And
put
I
a
had.
bridge on that.
I don't think a bridge would be needed though. I think that's like excessive and too much work for him. I honestly think one of two things: either dig a trench and put metal or wood or whatever as like a little channel that you can just step over pretty easily, or you could even put like a metal grate on top, or just a whole bunch of gravel. The water will flow through the gravel.
See, I thought somewhere you mentioned like maybe I just thought of this because we've done so many. A French drain. I was like, you think a French drain is less difficult than putting some planks of wood on and making a fake bridge?
Planks of wood will be dangerous though. Just putting some planks of wood on there, they're gonna get wet, and then you're gonna slip and hurt yourself on that.
And you're not gonna slip on gravel and hurt yourself?
No, not big pea gravel.
Like the gravel at your sister's house? That gravel?
No, that's little gravel. I'm not talking about pea gravel.
Well, you could do the gravel with the
I'm talking about like the big
stone.
gravel we have up front.
Oh.
It's like this big. Just a whole lot of that. Because the water would flow right through that. But so I had cleats on, and I was slipping and sliding. I can't imagine with somebody with tennis shoes what they would do. You had boots.
I had boots. I was fine.
Yeah, so
my boots are waterproof. Like
you weren't getting wet, but how were you doing as far as gripping through that?
I slid a couple times. My big issue was when I was going back to respawn, and I know I passed Ryan a couple times, and I was trying to get out of Ryan's way because he was rushing past me, and I didn't want to get in his way and to try to I tried to move off to the sides, and it was muddy, like far past where the path was because Billy went up there, and I think Billy might have cleats on
He had
too.
cleats. Yeah, I think he had soccer
And
cleats on.
So moving back and forth with unlimited respawns to me was the challenge. Like just walking back and forth. If you were playing a regular open play game and there wasn't unlimited respawns, but passing somebody back and forth was. I slipped a couple times, but I didn't get wet. But those are the kind of boots that I have.
Yeah, she had waterproof boots. So anyone that has either cleats or just regular tennis shoes or anything like that, they're gonna get wet running through there. But everyone's gonna have trouble gripping through there. But as far as how to actually change the field, other than that, I didn't have too many complaints about how the field was laid out. Um, at first, I looked and I saw how some of your structures have the white tarp on it and other ones didn't. Um, and at first, I was like, "Oh, that's crappy. Either they're falling apart, he hasn't gotten to it yet, and that's going to be a problem because you can shoot right through that." But as the more I thought about it, the more I played with it, and I've thought about it since. I actually kind of like that, where some are solid, and you know you're safe in them, and the other ones you have to be real careful. You can shoot right through it. Um, and again, it just adds a different dynamic. So I actually kind of now that I've thought about it, I like that you have both. You have solid ones you can't shoot through, and then there's not so solid ones you have to be more careful with.
There was the structure I was in during the blowing up the tank.
Mm-hmm.
That was just kind of a.
It was just pallets.
Those were pallets put together to be a house.
Yeah, and there was no white.
And I think
tarp.
I got hit once, but it looked like I asked the ref and he said that it was just splatter, but there was a shell on me. But I don't like it felt like a shell hit me and not a paintball. But I was in that house for I think 30 minutes and I had really good I could get my gun through the holes and I could shoot at different angles. And I was kind of afraid going into that house because it was a pallet and slats, but I did pretty good in that house, so I liked being in there. So I don't have any criticisms or even ways to improve the bunkers. I like that they're all different. You have tires, you have garbage cans, you have actual house structures, you have mounds, you have brush. I think it's a good mix of everything.
One thing I noticed, and this isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it's definitely something you might want to think about, is the near to the entrance side where the main road is, where you had the targets. That side of the field was barely used. So I found that one basket up there, and I did shoot one person up there on mission 2. That was pretty much it. Like, it barely ever got used. So maybe in the future, put more over there for another scenario like this next year. Instead of just one thing over there, you could even put something that's continuous throughout the day. So like you had the center flag that worked. You could use almost every mission, right? Except mission 2, I think. Mission 1 you could use the center flag, and then 3 and 4 or 4 and 5 you could use this, right? I noticed that you even have a flag up there. Make that worth a point each round or something. Just to kind of maybe push some people up towards that end of the field, because that is everyone gets kind of bogged in the middle there, which is going to happen. I mean, that's probably going to happen on every field. There's going to be one specific, maybe 2 or 3 specific points where everyone kind of congregates. But if you make, like for instance, if you made that flag a side mission, you'd get small battles over there because there'd be people going for it. So it'd spread people out.
I didn't realize like how open and lush that area was back there. I didn't realize how far back it went until we did mission was 2 with the tank.
Those two.
I didn't realize because I didn't get over there because there was no reason to be over there.
And then okay, so this is probably my biggest criticism for you, and I'm not sure how you'd fix it. So when you told us that there were random things on the field to find that you could tell obviously didn't belong, and then I started bringing things back that obviously didn't belong, but you didn't give me points for them. Come on, man. Come on.
Still bitter about the pony.
Give me points for my freaking pony. All right, doesn't belong in that field. There's no reason for there to be a pony on that field.
Was that technically part of the field, though?
What he said was you could tell they didn't belong.
Well, that was
now a bright pink basket. You can definitely tell doesn't belong. That is 100% true. But neither is a freaking pink pony. Okay, give me my damn points. And then the skull doesn't belong there either. I can give it to you. Like it can easily be. I've seen them on other paintball fields. I can give you that one, but give me my pony points. I want my pony points. Hashtag pony points. All right, that's all I gotta say about that one. That's my biggest complaint.
You're so bitter about your pony. I'm surprised you didn't steal that pony.
Next year it will be the Holy Grail. If anyone touches my pony, we're gonna have words. All right. Hashtag pony points. And you know what? That's gonna be my thing now. Pony points are my thing. I'm gonna have pony points at everything I do. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know
We
what that
have
means.
a pony.
I don't yet know what that means.
Because
but it means something to me.
We have a generic My Little Pony because I got it at the dollar store, and it was part of the scavenger hunt for when I threw your Lord of the Rings themed birthday party.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. Indeed.
So we have one little blue.
You know, maybe what I'll start doing is like going to the dollar store and buying little ponies and like handing them out to people that I think were good for the day. Like, you get pony points.
So instead of the coins that said you were caught being good, here's
you get a pony. You get pony points. You collect so many pony points and you get something. You know, people give out like badges. Like, if you shot that person, they give you a card or something. Like Paul gives out his cards.
Yeah,
if you shoot him.
I'm
gonna start giving out little plastic ponies. Right? Pony points.
Are you gonna attach a pony to your camera?
Maybe I will.
Your gun.
I'm gonna have a pony. Listen, pony points are a thing now. All right. Hashtag pony points. You alright there?
Yeah.
You
Did you take a picture of your pony?
I didn't. You need to send me a picture of the pony, please. Actually, what would be great is not only if you took a picture of the pony, but you just gave me the pony as a consolation prize.
I'm gonna go buy you a My Little Pony on Sunday.
And Eric, in answer to your question, we are not hosting an event.
We got plans.
Yeah, we have plans, but we're not hosting an event. At least not that I'm aware of.
We have plans to host events in the future, don't we? Or to create our own events.
We're going to create them, but we're not going to be like, it's not going to be hosted by Dunedain Paintball. No, that's part of our job.
I understand. Okay. I just like to make sure I'm on the same page as you.
Unless, I don't know, maybe that's something John and I and she can talk about. Maybe.
You know what would be a great paintball thing? If we did Global Guts and we created that mountain.
Global Guts?
Do you remember Global Guts? Where it was kind of like the Olympics and kids had to, they competed in
I
different
don't think that was called Global Guts.
It was called, Google it. It was called Global Guts. There was a Guts, and then there was a Global Guts because they brought kids from other countries. And you had to climb that big mountain. Now, Eric is too young to...
Nickelodeon Guts.
But there was Global Guts. I swear there was Global Guts.
Okay.
Look! Global Guts right there.
They've come from all over the world with one goal, a glowing piece of our radical rock. But one question still remains. Do you have it?
Do you have it? Do you have it?
Yeah, bitch.
Stream Arena and Nick.
I think you...
Now our next hurdle and across the finish line with time to spare. So Ricardo, the Elastic Man, stretching his way to a victory if they...
Climb a big rock and press buttons.
Climb a big rock and press buttons. Let's see. What did you dislike/like about the current storyline? I'm going to make a poll soon to see if we want to continue or not, but I want to hear your thoughts. Continue as in... I don't know what you mean by continue. Do you mean like add to the story so it kind of answers what happened during the scenario so that you can continue it next year? Like,
is it the same scenario?
So like part 2 for next year? Is that what you mean? Or do you mean that you'll just fill in the details and then that'll be the end of it? Explain to me what you mean by if we want to continue or not. But as far as the storyline, you put a lot of work into that story. Like, I was like, I was going to go read it, and I realized how long it was. Like, oh, I'm going to do this later.
And you never did.
No, I did. I went back and I read it all. So I actually, for someone like me, or any, I don't play D&D, but for any type of D&D player, it was actually very good. I'm sure they would thoroughly enjoy how much work you put into it. But I'm thinking the average paintball player is not going to care enough to read as much as you put into
I
it.
think that's also a problem with Mishmasters, and someone mentioned this to me that they put so much time and effort reading the storyline, and you never really get. Nobody actually gets to read the storyline when they're playing, or they don't realize that there's all of this background story.
Continuing the story as in, and then it's blank. I assume there's more coming. I assume there's more coming to that. Hi, new person, whoever you are. Hello.
See, we just have to be on for more than an hour, and we get lots of people.
Mm. Is that what it is?
Maybe it's Clark coming back to us.
Has Clark returned to us?
I don't know. Maybe it's Hot Cocoa. Maybe he's forgiven you.
He doesn't like me anymore. He'll never forgive me.
Oh, well, then you're not worth your time.
Oh, snap. On the live telly.
I'm just saying, if he's. I love Hot Cocoa. I'm upset about this feud. Very much so.
Not a feud. Don't call it a feud.
Okay, so disagreement, not speaking to each other. You're both grown
Don't put this on me.
Okay, regardless of what it is, the beef should be squashed, and I'm upset about it. And you're both grown men.
Hey,
who,
again, I've tried.
I understand.
Don't put this on me.
I don't want to talk about this. I'm just stating that I'm upset at him, and I love him, and I'm just upset about what's going on right now.
Okay, so details about what happened this year and the last. Next year would be a sequel or continuation. Okay, well, in that case, or ending the story completely and coming up with a separate backstory. I actually think it would be really interesting to see it continue. The issue I have with it would be it's too far. You know, it's a whole year later. So maybe if you had like 2 or 3 a year, you could continue them. Like Skirmish has their Ion series. They have 3 games that are all interlinked, and then they reset the next year. But so if you did that, maybe. But and I do like it as the type of person I am. I like the all the work you put into it, and I would like continuing it next year. I think that would be interesting. I just think that most people are gonna either not care or forget or both. Once they remember, oh, this is a continuation of last year, they're not gonna care what happened last year, and they're not gonna remember what happened last year. It's just gonna be a whole new scenario to them. So, with that in mind, it wouldn't hurt you to do that. You could continue it, and then those of us who care and know would be able in our minds to do that and connect it and keep it going. And the people that don't care don't have to. It's a whole new scenario for them. So that's really up to you. I don't see a downfall either way. I think it'd be interesting. I just don't think most people would care. What do you think?
I agree with you. I think it depends on for the people who won. So I'm a competitive bitch. We all know this. I care. And I would care. We won last year. We got to win this year. And how are we continuing this story? I also have a memory like a steel trap. So I remember a lot of things that most people don't. But I agree with you. If you didn't attend this year, then it's just going to be a whole new story for you. And you're going to be able to understand the background anyway because you'll probably write in what happened over the previous years, I'm assuming.
So everything you had listed on there, I thought you just made that up. But was that last year's scenario that you had on there? The description for this year's? Because if it is, I didn't realize that. So I would say overall, yeah, do that. Continue. I would say go ahead and continue it. I think that would be interesting to continue it year to year. And much like with what Skirmish does, people will, the people that care, they're gonna solidify into their team, and you're gonna get the same people every year who's gonna be on the same team. So if you did that next year, we'd come back and be on Atlas again. Like it wouldn't be a question of what team we're gonna be on. We would know, and throughout the year, you could, people on Atlas can talk to each other, and there is a whole community of Germans from Ion, and there's a whole community of Americans from Ion, and then within there, well, there's a whole community of Mayhem Company from Germans from Ion. So that's something you could get, and you could continue, and those who care could participate in that. You are a little small for that type of.
To do 3 scenarios like a skirmish does?
Not that part. I'm talking about like the community-based part on Facebook.
Oh,
The
okay.
German War Machine, and there's Mayhem Company and all that. You're a little small for that, obviously. So it wouldn't quite be the same dynamic, but it'd be very similar. And so that would be neat. But I do feel like the majority of people just aren't going to care enough to participate with that in any way. So you're going to be putting a lot of work into it for not necessarily much. I don't even want to say praise, but like recognition. There's not going to be a lot of recognition in it, in the work that you're putting in. I feel like probably of the 20 or so people that were there, I'm going to say I'm one of maybe 3 that actually read all that stuff that you put on there. I don't think there were very many people that actually read it. So there is that. Keep that in mind. So yes, they were actual events that happened during the game. Atlas won by 1 point the first year, and Sarah actually made that point during a sniper shootout. Okay, so now were they the same? So Sarah was the general of Atlas last year. Who was the Sheena?
Sheena.
Was Sheena
Bobby's wife.
Was Sheena the general of the Rebels last year too? So you'd have the same. You could keep that going too. You have the same generals. Maybe they change their XOs every year, or you could change generals every year too. Either way would work. Or the generals can retire. If they get tired, they can come back until they retire, and then someone else takes over. You could. There's absolutely things you can do that way, and I personally would like that.
Or if you have more to tell about the story, just continue the story.
Yeah, or just continue the story.
And if people fall on that bandwagon, then they do. Obviously, you have a community that already follows you anyway, so they already know the story. So, if you have more to tell, then you should tell more and get more people into Atlas Rising and create your own Atlas Rising community scenario.
And this is just something coming off the top of my head. Put some thought into it. If you want to go that route, continuing it and having it be a thing throughout the year, making a community out of it and everything, make it a year-long thing. In that, not only having more than one scenario based around it, and not necessarily only, but you could just have one scenario and still do the rest of it, or you could have several scenarios, all different parts of it. Every once in a while, like once a month, send out a thing like, for our side, Atlas is in need of a mineral. Where Atlas is getting low on a mineral. If you are a member of Atlas, if you're loyal to the cause or whatever, please seek out this mineral and send a picture of a pony. And in order to get points for your team throughout the year, for this month, everyone that sends in a picture of a pony, when the next scenario comes along, you get points for each pony picture that was sent in. Or you get extra opportunity for something for everyone that was sent in. And I just say pony because of hashtag pony points. But it could be anything. Like send in your mileage. The more you walk, the more points your team gets or whatever, and just keep the people engaged throughout the year. Make
Also,
yourself a little cinematic universe.
also, we didn't finish that scenario, so we still have two missions we never accomplished. You could do a mini scenario on a Sunday that's just those two, and then that breaks it up into. You could bring that back in March or February. Do that depending on the weather. Do those two scenarios or do those two missions, and that way when you're ready to come back for that continuation of the story, you have those people who remember because they just did two missions. Missions don't have to be all. I mean, a scenario doesn't have to be all day. Yeah, you can charge more because you have more missions, but you still have those two missions. Make that a mini scenario. It's nice in December. Pick a nice weekend and have people just come out and play.
Yeah, you can, and along with both of those ideas, you could just send out a message to everyone that's on. If you're going to do this, go ahead and make a Facebook group for it. Instead of just the event, actually have an Atlas Rising group page, and you could send out, ambush scene or ambush has occurred. Who will win? And then just like battle this weekend. Missions. Two missions will happen on Saturday the 18th. Whoever be there to fight for your side, and people that can come. People that can be there that particular weekend, whether it be this weekend coming up or the weekend after that or a month from now. No, not too far. Not too far. If they can be there, great. They fight for their side. If they can't, then unfortunately they can't. And you'll have the same one. You'll have the Atlas Rising, the big one, at the same time every year, just like Skirmish does with Ion. But then you could just, like I said, just throw out a random one, like, two small armies that happen to be near each other. They spotted each other, and the engagement is about to happen. Will you be there to fight for your side this weekend? And maybe you'll get 4 people on each side to show up and just have a little scenario. It add points to it, and
so instead of having a big battle, do a skirmish.
Yeah, just a little skirmish that ties into it, but it's not huge. It's not this big thing that everyone knows about all year long. It's just this little thing that randomly happened. It keeps people in the mind of not only your field, but also the game in particular. Keeps everyone engaged, So that's something to think about too. Actually, I think that would be really interesting to do. I like these ideas I'm coming up with. I'm ashamed. I'm sad to say I'm giving them to you, and I can't do them for myself. That one, yes. Well, the randomness was my idea, though.
Okay.
The doing it this weekend was my idea. Eric likes it too.
Yes, but me saying that because he had 2 scenarios to do little skirmishes before you do your major event. That was my idea. I'm taking credit for that.
A-Dog's taking credit for that.
You can take credit for your Gopher Award and all the other stuff. I'm taking credit for that one.
Okay. So, basically what she's saying is she's taking credit for it. So, if you do any of these ideas, you have to make sure you give A-Dog credit for it.
Forget
I would also
points, hashtag A-Dog.
I would also appreciate if you shouted out Dunedain in general. But A-Dog, regardless of what else you may or may not do, needs credit for anything that has to do with Atlas Rising at this point. From now on...
No, I don't need credit for
hashtag A-Dog did it and hashtag pony points. Right?
Yeah, so we're not conceited asshats or anything.
You're talking about me. Taking credit for things I actually did. Now you're over here. I need credit for everything that has to do with this from now on.
That's not what I said. And I don't sound like that. I just wanted credit for my idea.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
You married me. You knew I was like this way before you put the ring on the finger.
Well, I'm poor. No, I'm not poor, but banners are expensive. How much did it cost us, our banner? Like $35?
I think it was 35.
It was not cheap. That's for sure.
I'll make him a banner.
She'll make you a banner. There you go.
If you don't mind a pillowcase. I'll make you a banner.
Missions brought to you by Missions brought to you today by the letter D. And the number A-Dog did this.
Listen, I don't have a lot of accomplishments in life.
Eric says that he can make the banner. So Eric, you make the banner. And there you go.
What if I want to make the damn banner?
Eric volunteered. Graphics class dude, I get big discount. Whatever.
Look at our puppy.
Eric, she's very mad at you now because she wanted to make the banner. Hashtag A-Dog did it.
I want to announce this to Xavier. Our puppy is sleeping very silently and adorably under the desk.
Much like your puppy was.
Yeah, your puppy was very good, and our puppy is just a hooligan who's awful.
That's faux show. That's faux show. But yeah, keep that all in mind. I think that's all like really good ideas that I've been spewing that you've been helping me with too. So make if you want to continue with it, which I think would be cool. Make a Facebook group for Atlas Rising, and you could even make 3 if you really wanted to. One for everybody, one for Atlas, and one for the Rebels. That might be going a little overboard. You don't have enough people for that, I don't think. So just the one, and every once in a while, just throw out there. The Rebels are in need of gold, so please find, amongst your travels, please find such and such resource or find gold pieces, and send a picture of whatever it is you're looking for. And don't make it gold pieces, make it something.
But it could be gold, and then if you're at the grocery store and you see gold-colored candy foil, take a picture of a candy bar.
But it would have to be a little bit more. I think it have to be more specific than that. Like, you can't just say anything colored gold.
No, I'm not talking about the color gold. And I understand, or those Hershey nuggets that look like gold bars. Just saying. That's just an idea. You don't have to listen
something like that would be fine, or something that's more rare that you don't find just everywhere. Maybe like.
But it should also be creative.
The president, the president of the rebellion is looking for propaganda pieces to spread the word. Please send a selfie of yourself and a inspirational piece of art that the president of the rebellion can use. And so everyone that takes a selfie with themselves and a statue, when you're downtown, you see, or just an example like the thinking man, who's the thinker that sitting there like this. You take a selfie of yourself with the thinker, and you get points for your team, or whatever. What you think about what you want them to get for doing that. But then when the next, you could either give Atlas or the Rebels points for it, or you could give them intel. Like if they turn in 5 of them, at the next scenario they get an extra piece of intel that they wouldn't have gotten, or they get it earlier than the other team, or whatever else.
Because you already did, and I really liked that the clue idea. You could use the collecting of things or taking a picture, however you want to do it.
The more you turn in, the more clues you get.
And then you give them more clues, and instead of reading them off to them, you give them an envelope with the clues.
And that also gives people the opportunity, let's say that next year something happens and we can't get there. That doesn't mean I don't want to be engaged in it. It doesn't mean I don't care. And this would give me the opportunity to participate without actually being at the game. So that might be interesting too. I think that's a good idea. And you wouldn't have to send out like, Rebels find this, Atlas find that. This month do one for the Rebels, and 2 months later do one for Atlas. It doesn't have to be every month that you do it. It doesn't have to be every week that you do it. Just randomly throughout the year, and then randomly throughout the year too. Small village has been invaded by the Rebels. Can Atlas hold it back? let's find out this weekend. See who shows up. You know, some people I'm sure will, and some people won't. Some people can, some people can't. That's something to keep in mind too. Now, if you did that though, you might also want to consider having some sort of like maybe yearly deal or something, because I know for me personally, it gets very expensive going to a whole bunch of different scenarios. So if you are gonna do a bunch of little ones, or even just a couple little ones, and then the big one also, you might want to have some sort of deal where if like, again, this is just off the top of my head, put some more thought into it. If you go to the big one, Atlas Rising, so we went to that one. Let's say that you have one or two mini battles before the end of the year. You say this weekend, let's see what happens. And we wanted to go, but we don't have enough money to pay $30 of entry, and then $60 of paint again. What you could do is, if you go to the big one, if you go to Atlas Rising, you get into all the mini ones for free. You still have to buy paint, but you could get into the game for free or at a discounted price or something.
Just have them keep their badge.
Yeah, keep your badge to
and then bring it.
He probably knows people, but once it gets bigger, you'd certainly need badges, I would think.
I mean, I'm sure he knows everybody that was there.
Yeah.
But are you really keeping your brain filled with everybody that has attended your scenario?
Right.
Just because there were only...
And people that didn't go to the big one would still have to pay for the little ones, but if you go to the big one, then you get free or discount entry to the little ones. Or if you go to two little ones, you get a third one for free. Or if you go to three little ones, you get the big one for free. But part of it depends on how many you have. That's for sure.
And also what you can actually afford to give to somebody.
Right. That's part of it too. Although, if you're anything like any other field, you make your money off the paint, and that's why I'm saying charge for the paint, not necessarily the entry. And that's how most fields make their money.
I know that's how most fields make their money.
So again, that's just something I'm throwing out there. You'd put some more thought into it, for sure. But that is, if you're gonna have more than one, whether it be, let's just again using skirmish as an example. If you have the three main ones, and then you have a few of those little ones interspersed, that's a lot of money. Like for us, example, it takes us a little over an hour to get there. And then $30 entry and $60 paint every time we go. So you've got the gas, the food, the time to get there, all the entry.
Well, he gave us free food, so
and, yeah,
can't
that's true.
Include that.
But we had to buy dinner and things,
Okay.
So anyway, the point is, it can be very expensive. So that's something to throw out there. I think in the long run, it would behoove you to do that, because you'd have more people show up to more of the events, because they could afford it more. So you'd make money still off of the paint.
Also,
you're getting the word out there. More people are going to like it. They're going to bring their friends with them who are going to have to pay entry because they didn't go to the big one.
You're also having a scenario, regardless of size, 3 times a year. Or how many times you decide to do it. But like your big one, obviously, but then like if you
but how does that behoove his wallet?
Because you already have those scenarios set out, and then that doesn't mean you can't additionally add more scenarios. But people know about it, and they're, like you said, bring their friends. I'm gonna shut up now.
I just don't know what.
The more events you have, the more people you bring in, the more money you get.
Right, that's my point. Is you'll get more people in there. Yeah, so if they happen to notice that there's a small skirmish this weekend, or someone tells them about it, and they go and they have a really good time, and they're hearing all this information about how it links into this other thing, and if you really wanted to, you could do every scenario you ever have based off of this Atlas universe. It doesn't always have to be the same thing either. You could do spin-offs. Basically, picture your own Marvel universe and scenarios, right? So you could do, a scenario based off of the World War III event that destroyed the planet to begin with. A flashback at some point, or um, on the outskirts of the nation, uh, a small band of ruffians that are neither rebel nor Atlas have invaded, and the rebels and Atlas have to join together to fight them off. I mean, you could do a whole bunch of other stuff, and have them all linked together, without necessarily, just being part one, part two, part three. So that's interesting too. But yeah, you'll get people that go to that little skirmish and they'll say, "Oh, this was fun," and what's all this stuff I'm hearing about? They got extra things because of something they did before. What's that all about? And maybe they'd be pissed off about it at first, but then they learn about it and they think, "Oh, that's really cool how it links into that one. I'm going to come to the next one, because we won this one, and we'll get extra stuff next time." So that would be, I think that's going to be really cool if you do that. And don't be surprised if you hear that we're doing something similar at P3, because I'm loving what I'm saying. I'm loving what I'm saying here. Maybe not to the same extent, because I think they have
obviously we would not be using.
It wouldn't be Atlas Rising, obviously, but I think they have other plans, so I don't think that's going to happen necessarily. But I would love to see it, and feel free, bring me on. Like I will absolutely help you do some of this stuff and make things. And she's really good at writing scenarios, or not necessarily writing them, but definitely giving you feedback and
I'm a good contingency person.
thinking of like, well, that might not work because of this, or we should also do this. She's really good at that sort of thing. So absolutely feel free to pick our brains about that, and I would love to get into it.
Side point, good luck this weekend, specifically to Dana, because isn't she generaling, I'm talking to you like she's generaling her first match, DC versus Marvel. So good luck from Dunedain. We wish we could be there, but New Jersey's a little far for us.
I also have to go to Texas.
He also has to go to Texas.
I'm not very excited about it. I do get free delicious food though, so that's good. Okay, so Eric, you asked about, are we sponsored by P3? The answer to that is yes. That's the short answer. The long answer is I don't know exactly what that means yet. So, like, the answer is yes, but I don't know exactly what that means yet. So I can't really give any good announcement for what it may or may not mean. At first, what it meant was that A-Dog and I got discounted paint. But I told him that, and it was a very good discount too, but I told him that I would actually rather have a less discount rate for everyone than a super discounted rate for us. And he said we would definitely talk about it, but he was busy, and now he's on vacation, and we haven't been able to talk about it yet. So
we have no exact details about anything.
So the answer is yes, we are officially sponsored by P3 now. The long answer is yes, but like it doesn't really do anything yet, or at least it doesn't. We don't know what it does yet, I guess. If that helps.
Right now, it's networking, and it's putting Dunedain in a good position to be well known.
Yeah, it definitely does that.
So right now, it's just networking.
But it kind of sounds like I'm offering myself to Slaughterhouse too. So maybe
you need to
wink, wink, wink. There, maybe I'll get sponsored by Slaughterhouse too. If I put work into Atlas.
You?
Me?
You're gonna just get sponsored? Are we all chopped liver now? You mean we?
No, if I'm putting word in that maybe we can get sponsored.
You didn't say we. You said I.
It's my team. I'll do what I want. See, and he says, absolutely. Look at that. What are you trying to tell me here?
You're just a cocky asshole, and I don't.
I can't help that I'm better than everyone.
I'm gonna have to leave the room.
No,
Loki, can you breathe, baby?
I wish I was better than everyone. I'm really, really not. Honestly, people think I'm better than I am. Really, I don't consider myself that great of a player. Especially, there are certain aspects like speedball. I'm terrible at speedball.
Because you don't play speedball.
That's true, but
You
I
don't
don't
go
play.
out
I
there
don't play it for a reason because I'm
But you
terrible
don't
at
go
it.
like if you would practice. You also have a strong side, which they when you
I
were
do.
at that tournament, they never put you on your strong side, and I was like, why are they always starting on this side? I was real pissed off
Yeah,
about
I'm
that.
very bad at switching hands. I can't shoot left-handed. I really can't. Um, but and then one on one, I'm actually not very good at one on one either. Like if you put me against one other person, I'm not very good in any scenario. In any whether it be speedball, woods ball, whatever, me against one other person, I'm not that good. If you put me in a scenario, I'm much better because what I can do is I can work with the people around. I'm very good at team player, so I will have
Because
okay.
you're not selfish.
You go over there and shoot
when you're
from
on
that
the
way.
paintball
You
field.
go there and shoot from that way. I'm gonna run up the middle and distract them, and then one of us will get them out. I'm very good at that.
You're good at coaching. You're good at telling people where to go so that we're all successful.
Yes.
So when you don't have somebody to tell where to go,
But also there are times like, for example, at Reaper Siege Video 1, I just like wrecked that whole side. But I think the reason for that was, in that particular case, I got into a good spot, and there were just a lot of people for me to shoot at. I think that's what it was.
everybody thinks I'm better than I am. Everybody.
So I'm not,
Everybody.
so there are certain circumstances where I really am better than, I'm smarter than the average bear. That's true. Well, you shouldn't have been over there. I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, I think on that particular case, I got into a good spot, and there were a bunch of people there to shoot at. I think that's what it was.
Maybe SAS needs to stop playing against us and start playing with us.
See, but SAS like being the good guys, and we're always the bad guys.
It's because I'm so pure of heart.
And so, like, we're never on the same team. We're always fighting each
Well,
other.
tell them to start being bad. It's much more fun to be wicked.
Only the good die young, you know.
Something wrong with me.
Yes, I married you. That means there's a lot wrong with me. Love you. Mwah.
Go away. You'd be lost without me.
Well, we'll have to you and me and A-Dog will talk about what we can do with each other in the future. If you're serious about a sponsorship, please, that'd be great. I'd love to put work into the Atlas universe for you, and then
Because he just
have a
spent
sponsorship.
35 minutes discussing all of his ideas with you.
Yeah, so like I don't want that to go to waste.
Tom, you just bitched at me and I wanted to take credit. You want to be on there so that you can take credit for everything.
Yes, that is exactly right. But anyway, so we'll talk about that like actually
Did I
together
get
as opposed to on this
bite
chat.
me here, or did I get hit with a paintball?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's go with yes. Eric, the answer to that question is very, very, very bad. Now, please don't take that wrong way. I'm not saying you are very, very bad, but what you asked was how bad can you possibly be, and the answer to that is absolutely atrocious.
What?
What he's Dana and I play for Warsaw every year. Our president always picks the good side. So what he's saying is that it's not him that picks the good side. It's their general that's picking the good side. Either way, it's the good side, and we're on the bad side, so we're never on the same team. That's the point.
We don't do Southerners, and we don't do orcs.
There's only been 2 scenarios where we've ever been the good guys. The first one was Lord of the Rings scenario because we're Team Dunedain, so we had to be the Dunedain, which are the good guys. Like, that just makes sense. The second one was Gettysburg, and there were a couple reasons for that. One was there's too many nuts that still think the Civil War is happening for some reason, and they're all about slavery and such of that nature, which I'm not going to get into. It's too political, but I'm not going to be one of those people, so I had to fight for the North. Secondly, Bricktop from Pittsburgh was the general for the North, and it was someone, I don't know if he was from West Virginia or wherever, I just didn't know him, for the South. So, like, it was a Pittsburgher against a non-Pittsburgher that sort of thing.
Isn't that where you first met Mike Mallory?
Yes. I don't know if that's where I first met him, but that's where I first actually like got to know who he was and everything, because he helped write that Gettysburg at Preston County
We
Paintball.
had a lot of fun with that one. I was not there.
Darth Vader. No, Darth Vader was never good, sir. Darth Vader was never good. Anakin Skywalker was good, but then Anakin Skywalker turned to the dark side. That's a lovely face you're making on there. Anakin Skywalker turned to the dark side and then became Darth Vader. So Darth Vader turned good at the end of the movies, but started bad. So, if you're gonna talk Star Wars to me, get your facts straight. I just said that, Eric. I just said that. Well, in any case, we've been on here for 2 hours at this point. I'm not splitting any hairs. I'm just telling you how the truth is. So I got a little bit of work to do before I go to bed. Unfortunately, we have to do that daily now. So I will talk to you guys in the future. We actually had a few people on here interacting this week, so maybe next week I'll do it again. I went on a long hiatus there because no one ever tuned on. So yeah, we'll see what happens next year. It was great talking to everybody. We actually had some engagement. That was a lot of fun. I like it when people actually engage with me. So I will talk to you guys later. Have a good night.